Coming to you from the all-new Live House in Hollywood, California.
Hey everybody, time for another episode of Pensado's Place. The president and CEO of NAMM, Joe Lamond, joins us in just a second for a really big announcement. But speaking of big announcements, we got a couple more. Warm Audio is much more than their amazing microphones and emulations and all the stuff they do. They're coming out this week with the new Foxy tone box. Watch. Now for another big announcement. If you do anything with vocals, and every one of you do, you absolutely want this. Welcome to Auto-Tune Unlimited. Really amazing set of tools, everything under one package, very simple pricing. I'm telling you, you will be a vocal ninja master once you get this stuff. In fact, I'm going to put on my English accent and give you the details. Check this out.
Introducing Auto-Tune Unlimited, the most comprehensive collection of vocal plugins ever offered. Whether you're making hit records in the studio, recording in your bedroom, or performing live, Auto-Tune Unlimited delivers the complete solution for professional vocal production. No other set of tools can offer the audio quality, functionality, or signature Auto-Tune sound. Now available through subscription for one low monthly price. You'll have access to every current version of Auto-Tune, a collection of powerful vocal effects, and free software upgrades for as long as you subscribe. Experience the entire world of Auto-Tune. Auto-Tune Pro, the most advanced, fully featured version of Auto-Tune. It's the industry standard for professional vocal production. Auto-Tune Artist, optimized for low latency processing, it delivers the power of Auto-Tune for use on live performances, both on stage and in the studio. Auto-Tune EFX Plus combines the essential features of Auto-Tune with a powerful effects rack and melodic pattern generator for more creative workflows. Auto-Tune Access, its light CPU footprint and simplified interface delivers the most streamlined experience for tuning vocals. And AutoKey automatically detects the key and scale of any audio track and integrates directly into Auto-Tune for a faster, more efficient workflow. Auto-Tune Unlimited also includes AVOX, a complete toolkit for professional vocal plugins. Create stunning harmony arrangements from a single voice with Harmony Engine. Access faithful models of over 100 classic microphones with MicMod. Manipulate the physical properties of the human voice with Throat, Aspire, and Sybil. Get instant vintage vibes with our analog tube modeling plugin, Warm. And experiment with MUTATOR, our most creative tool for vocal sound design. Don't spend thousands purchasing and constantly upgrading your vocal effects. Instead, subscribe to Auto-Tune Unlimited and get everything you need for one low monthly price. And free upgrades are always included. Or purchase an annual subscription and get 2 months free. Start your subscription today and upgrade your entire vocal production workflow with Auto-Tune Unlimited. It's not just Auto-Tune, it's vocals without limits.
So as you can tell, there's a lot coming down the pike, and we want you to have all that information. How do you get it? Like, subscribe, and click notify. Sign up for our newsletter, hit us on our socials, and we'll be in touch with you. And now, it's really a pleasure. This guy has gone from touring rock drummer to president and CEO of NAMM. His organization and himself are absolutely the musician's champion. Got a big announcement, and we are pleased to have our friend and our partner, Mr. Joe Lamond. Joe.
Well, the way you described, that person couldn't be here, but I'll fill in his shoes. I'm trying to do what I possibly can in the meantime until a more suitable, replacement. The suitable replacement can be found. I will do my very best to.
We have faith, bro. The annual gathering of NAMM is a place that is community and learning and a chance to make connections and relationships. It is literally a pilgrimage every year, and conditions have forced a reimagining of what's going on, and you guys have come up with this incredible concept called Believe in Music Week. Please explain.
Yeah, well, I mean, what you've just described also could be Pensado's place too, community, learning, coming together. The NAMM show. I think this was a tough one for all of us. We came out of the 2020 show all feeling pretty good about the year, right? You realize that was only not even 8 short months ago. Industry was rocking. We had great views of the path ahead. Great new advancements in product and in the training that happened, yet about 6 weeks later, this all happened. You were saying we were down visiting together here at NAMM headquarters, probably 5 weeks after the show, and just beginning to get a sense of what was ahead for us. So, this thing has rolled out. The whole world been turned upside down. So we think about what's happening with NAMM, the NAMM show, and live events and touring and all that. It has to be seen and viewed against the backdrop of the real tragedy and the crisis that's occurring around the world. So, when we think about I guess it makes me feel a little less. The whole world is dealing with this. This isn't just a music industry issue. This isn't just a NAMM issue. And so, if there's any comfort in it, that there's a lot of smart people trying to solve this. And so trying to decide what to do at the 21 NAMM show, we weren't alone. And I think that is something to be stressed, that a lot of us are all trying to work together. And this as a community, the music community has come together on this more than anyone could have ever hoped. Mm-hmm. Right now, as we sit, 12th or 13th of August, right now, it would be illegal to produce a NAMM show at the Anaheim Convention Center. It's closed. It's been closed since March. The state of California will not allow us to have the event there. Whether they would have allowed it or will be open by January is an open question. But the reality is an event the size of NAMM, it has to be basically ready to load in this week if it's going to happen. It's that big, it's that complex, from the logistics and security and planning with the city. So we really reached a go, no-go point. Had always been August in my mind. And so we reached August. There was no clarity from Sacramento on whether the governor would open up gatherings like ours. So we had to make the decision. We announced it on Monday that there will be no physical gathering in Anaheim in January of 21. So that was job one. And I really tell the world that that was the big change coming. Job two then was to say what we are going to do. We can't do that. What are we going to do? And that was the announcement of Believe in Music Week.
The thought process into Believe in Music, when we saw the press release, and we have the advantage of talking to your team, who's like family to us. It really is specific. There's opportunities for your members to get together. There's marketplace opportunities. There's education opportunities. There's live music that's going to be done. And I also think one of the super cool things about this, the pandemic has lots of stuff that is really bad, and then there's green shoots and silver linings that you do something with. NAMM is the last standing huge musical show, and this allows people globally to participate who may have not been able to come to Anaheim in the past. That's a huge opportunity, correct?
Well, you think about the NAMM gathering, a pilgrimage, the gathering of the tribes, crossroads as we call it, where the whole global industry can convene physically in one place for a couple of days to learn, to be the world's biggest focus group, right, on new product and and where trends are going. And so that, that does lend itself to, all the technology that we have to meet virtually. It's not the same, And we went into the Believe in Music concept with a couple of really big things to get off the plate. First and foremost, it's not the NAMM show. It can't be the NAMM show.
Right.
With the Roland folks, pre-announcement, we met with some of our key exhibiting partners, and we're talking about that we could do a virtual show, and yes, how many more people can attend and be a part of it. And I just had to say, like, this will be a really cool thing we're going to do. It's going to be inclusive. It's going to achieve a lot of our goals. But make no mistake, it is not the NAMM show. The NAMM show is walking into that campus, and seeing that huge stage in the Ground Plaza, and then walking into about 1.6 million square feet of exhibit space and feeling that energy. That's the NAMM show.
Yeah.
And so we really were faced with creating something unique and different. And that's a challenge, right, for anybody. 120 years old, all of a sudden we're a startup trying to create a new product. Come on, that wasn't in the plan this year. But we turned it around and said, like, what if we just, and this is how we've kind of approached NAMM shows in general. What if we forget all about us and say, what can we do for others? What can we do to serve? How can we provide a platform for others to thrive and to, get through all of this and come out on the other side stronger than ever? The decision process gets easier when you just forget about yourself. Say, what can we do for others? And then you really start, well, here's a need, we can do that. Here's another need, yeah, we can do that. And then when you get through with this list of things that, the industry and the musical community might need, we got a great list. And then if we do that right, then NAMM will be okay too. That's sort of, you back into how we need to get to it. So we really thought about, obviously it's a marketplace. There's the old, there would be never a new product launched had there not been a NAMM show, because engineers would tinker on it forever and it would never be finished. So the NAMM show is the deadline where products have to be done. So we know there's a market launch. We've got to have that. And for buyers and sellers and media and bloggers and influencers. So we knew we had to have that component. Let's just call that one pillar. Second pillar was education, right? What do you guys do at the show? Tech Tracks, NAMM, what Esther was doing, Event Safety Alliance, how to produce concerts safely. All that education, and maybe that's not the right word. Our industry, most of us who are in music weren't great scholars, so maybe education isn't the right word. Training, somehow becoming more successful in your path. But that has to happen. We've got to keep elevating.
Joe, I've always, and you're gonna hate me for this, but I know NAMM has an extreme importance in terms of the business component, and I support that 1,000%. But for me, NAMM is an opportunity. It's like an industry block party or a family reunion or seeing old friends and all of those types of things. And I've probably been to about 30 NAMMs, and I use it to see my East Coast friends. I use it to see. I'll give an example. I was at a NAMM show a few years ago, and I spent 10 or 15 years down the hall from a great engineer named Manny American, and we talked every day. But I saw him at NAMM, and it was like, Manny, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I just saw you an hour ago. Yeah. There's something about the environment there that does bring us together, and that does have a sense of community. And all that to say, in reviewing for the show, it feels like you do have those components sprinkled in and throughout some of the initiatives that you're trying to do, and I give you credit for that. Now, having said that, I got a couple of requests. I'd love to see Weekend Warriors program come back. There's a couple of those programs. And then also, I'm a huge proponent of music in schools. I think that's the biggest travesty that we've lost politically. Yeah. From a mixed engineer and musicians and a fan of music standpoint, that's one of the most important things that I'd like to see. Can you speak to some of those items, please?
Yeah. You think about what NAMM is as a platform, right? It does unite and bring everyone together. And this industry lends itself to camaraderie. I really think it does. And many of the industry, operate independently around the world. Touring people, if they don't cross paths out on the road, the NAMM show may be the only time. Studio people, like you say, maybe down the hall. The only time you actually get to visit with them is at the NAMM show. And that's true of a lot of the trade as well. So creating those moments, they are family, they are think tank, they are, focus group. They're all those things that kind of multiply into an industry's growth and expansion. But they're also the heartbeat, right? I mean, again, my first show was 1983. There are friends there that I've grown up with, and we've all done different things through the world, through our careers around the world. And that is maybe one of the most important elements. It makes me love what we do. It makes me love this industry that we're in. But the NAMM show is actually a vehicle. The proceeds from that show, you think about NAMM's business model, it's a big circle. The top of the model of this circle is the NAMM show. After we produce the NAMM show, we take what's left over after paying all the bills, and we lobby for music education. We create grants and programs like Guitars in the Classroom, Guitars for Vets, things involved in expanding access and equity and access to music education, especially in the most underserved districts around the country and increasingly around the world. And we promote music. We just get out there in the media and we promote the benefits of music by funding these research projects about how it affects the kid's brain, or as you age, how it keeps you smarter, staves off dementia. But because of all that, there's a promotion of music that the public is more aware of the benefits of music. Because the public's more aware, they do support it more, either for the kids or in their school district or in their community. And because of that, the industry grows. There's more products being pushed down into the system, whether it's instruments or podcasting or all the things that people do with the wonderful tools this industry creates. And because of that, those companies grow and they come back to the NAMM show, and maybe buy a bigger space. That circle is what NAMM is as a nonprofit. And that circle has been repeated since 1901. That's our business model. So the show is a launching pad for a whole year's worth of activities that help sponsor and promote music at all ages. And so anyone who goes to the show should at least feel super proud that just by participating, they're enabling this engine to run. And it's really why as challenging as the music education system is in the United States, it is still the envy of the world. 52 million children go back to school in a normal year, not this year, every year. And 90% of those schools have some music and art program. That's not anywhere else in the world. And it's because of this type of relentless promotion, advocacy, lobbying the federal government for education language to include music and arts as core subjects. All those things, they happen because people go to the NAMM show and they support it. So yes, it's an unbelievable launching pad for products. It is our annual family reunion. There's that oldest joke about the NAMM show. You go to it till you drop. That's just how it works. And there's a story of two reps in the hallway at the NAMM show, and they say, "Oh, you hear about old Jim? No, what happened? Oh, he died. You're kidding me. What did he have? Well, he had Harmon and Shore for Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina." You in this business until you go. And so, but it also is the engine that fulfills NAMM's vision of a more musical world. And again, that's what everyone is participating in when they're there. So now, how do we do that virtually? How do we do that when we can't safely, physically be together? How can I bring people? Last year we had 129 countries come to the NAMM show in January. 129 countries. How do we do that safely in an era of COVID? Well, the easy answer is you don't. Until there's a vaccine that's widely available and effective, that's going to be our challenge. So we now have to build this thing, while very different, but freed up from time and from space, which is where really Anaheim is. Everyone has to fly there. Everyone has to get a hotel room, and you just don't sleep for 4 or 5 days. Now, we are freed up from some of that. What do we get to do with that platform? And thankfully, the technology has gotten, if COVID had happened 20 years ago, this would be a completely different story. We're lucky enough to have some of this. We're talking today by Zoom. And so We will build out this platform with this virtual meeting software to do the marketplace, to do education, and to do the networking and the inside the room type, inside look at the industry through streaming channels that we will produce called Believe in Music TV. It's all going to culminate with a really special concert that Yamaha is going to produce for us. That's going to be a fundraiser for those most impacted by the pandemic. And so we will always stick true to what our heart is, which is how do we give back to others. So that's the thumbnail of Believe in Music Week. It's going to have, there's more meetings that occur at NAMM between, manufacturer and dealer meetings. There's international coalition meetings. All these countries get together and talk about how can we improve music education. There is, all kinds of music education meetings. The historically Black colleges and universities with Mary Lurson and the foundation, they have their board meetings there about how to improve their teaching programs. We've got the college programs, young kids coming in who go there to try and find their path and enter into this career. I love the fact that there's, the scholarships we give that. It's about 50% women now, and great diversity. We're trying to, change the industry going forward to say it should really, be very much, it should look like our world. And for many reasons, the industry itself had a long way to go in that. And so those are the types of things that occur at the NAMM show, and we need to make sure that those happen now too. And so technology is going to help us. I'll tell you, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be, I've never been a part of a startup like this. It's exciting, terrifying.
Yeah.
Off the bat, I mean, honestly, we're going to take an 80% hit in revenue. So how does that, as one of our old trade show directors used to say, that's why daddy drinks, But we'll figure it out. We're lucky enough. We've been, my kids will tell you what a cheapskate I am, and we've been saving money. NAMM has reserves. We will get through this just fine and able to live and serve another day. But those are some realities. It's going to be great. It's not going to be the NAMM show. And so in 2022, right, or maybe Nashville 21, there's a chance Nashville 21 may be the biggest party this thing's ever seen. and that could be interesting too. But 22 in January will be the next true, there'll be more. So it's funny. Our lobbyists, we really expanded our lobbying this year. And last fall, actually, with our new fiscal. And little did I know how much we would need that. The lobbying we've been doing to get support for the industry with PPP money and low interest loans and gig workers being able to apply for these funds, the lobbying just went 120%. But we doubled our lobbying staff this past fall. So they all came to the NAMM show. These are Washington people, kind of buttoned up, it's all like central casting lobbyists in some ways. And the one feedback from the head of this lobbying group after the show, I said, well, what do you think of the show? He goes, God, you guys hug a lot. Yeah, that's one description.
Yeah.
And while we're telling stories, let me tell you one more story. The other interesting thing, one of my business friends came to the show, and he's in real estate, completely different business, super fabulously successful. And he brought his kids and learned in guitars, and they loved all the things that happen in and around the show. It's there's gear and all. There's also, hey, there's that favorite guitar player. There's this producer there. Anyway, at the end of the day, my office overlooks the whole show floor, and he comes up with his kids. I said, kids, what do you think of the show? And they were like, yeah, I got this autograph, and I saw this. And I said, my friend Ronnie, what do you think of the show? He looks out over the window. Joe, I've never seen so much bad credit under one roof in my life. So, I think those are the two best descriptions of the NAMM show. Man, we hug a lot. And two, there's a lot of bad credit under that roof.
Oh, that is hilarious. One of the other elements that, there was an acknowledged speed bump last year in the inductees into the Hall of Fame. And so we apologize for that. That was a low moment in the Tech Awards. But other than that, the Tech Awards are also
serving you two were. And at some point, we need to veer this conversation because I have a whole list of things I want to talk about you guys. I don't want this to be about me. This is I want to spend time on what we feel about you guys. But yes, please.
Well, on the Tech Awards part, It is ongoing. We are actually in the middle of the submission process now. August is the submission process.
Yeah.
You can go to techawards.org, I believe, for your submission and process that. I think it is phenomenal that you're moving forward with continuing to do that. And you know, we look at it as friends and partners of NAMM as an opportunity to maybe get some people involved who haven't been involved in the past, or, you know, location was an issue or whatever the case may be. So I think it's a good thing that even though it's not the NAMM show, there are elements of things that are celebratory and still build community and honor people who do good work. So it was important to keep that going.
Yeah, you think about, you know, advancements in the tools, right? I mean, people watch this show, your show, in many ways to learn and to, you know, get the knowledge of many, you know, many people working on the problem, solve it much better than an individual. But advancements in technology and the equipment we use, I mean, you know, if you go back to the early foundings of NAMM, yes, it was founded by piano dealers. At the time, the state-of-the-art technology was piano, right, of all things. But, you know, don't forget, Thomas Edison launched most of those great inventions at the NAMM show or through NAMM. You know, the phonograph, the radio, these were all part of our industries coming forward and what became what we know today as the music and sound products industry. There's great history of advancements in technology. And so being able to, you know, work with AES, work with, you know, the Tech Awards people, AES had been at Tech Awards for a long time. This is all part of this crossroads vision, right? I just had this idea that all these groups working together would be the right path forward for the whole industry. And that is, of course, people who make musical instruments, you know, handcrafted, beautiful instruments. These guitars are just like, they should be in, you know, museums. They're so beautiful, and they probably will stand the test of time. That's almost like half the industry, handcrafted, intrinsically beautiful instruments. And then the other half of the industry is all the wonderful technology, you know, breakthroughs that are advancing how we make music, how we record music, and how we share music. Those two things, I don't know how many industries really work together as well as our industry does, with intrinsically beautiful handcrafted instruments and unbelievable technology. I mean, show me another industry that has those same things. They'd be like going to CES and seeing some unbelievable breakthrough in drone technology or flying car while looking at a, you know, I don't know, a campfire, something that is so intrinsically analog. That's just not how it works. Music is like that. Those things work perfectly together, right? So acknowledging the breakthroughs and the people who toil away behind the scenes, artists, they get all the credit, right? They're out there every day, people telling them how great they are. I like honoring an engineer. I like honoring someone who sat there with an idea, had the courage to see it through, and all of a sudden we've got this product that changes a whole style of music, right? I mean, something is created, and that's an interesting argument, right? I mean, does the technology serve the music, or does the music serve the technology? I think it's both. I think new styles of music are launched by breakthroughs in technology, and at the same time, you know, technologies look at artists and say, okay, Todd Rundgren, what do you need to actually get this out of your head into this? Oh, okay, I can invent that. They both work together quite well. But honoring those guys, bringing the Tech Awards to NAMM, bringing the Parnelli Awards to NAMM to honor the touring personnel. I mean, look, I just love, you know, you talk to an engineer gets up there in an acceptance speech, and he shares some of his dream about how that came about. I sit in those chairs in the audience and cry. And you hear a tour manager who's on the road, you know, the meanest badass guy you've ever seen. He eats people for lunch. When you're a tour manager of a big band, you've got to be that way.
Yep.
And he gets up there and gives us, you know, an acceptance speech for the Parnelli Award. And he's talking about the humanity of touring and the people he's met. You just go, anyway, that to me is beautiful. Honoring you two last year at the Tech Awards for your influence, for your positive influence in all this. You know, I don't know. It doesn't get any better than that. I know there's a business model. I know I've got to make the trains run on time with the NAMM show. I know we've got to do all that right. But if we get to do this stuff on top of it, oh, why not? You know, there was a great Saturday Night Live once. I think when George W. got elected, which was probably great fodder for Saturday Night Live. But one of the first ones was, you know, whoever played him, it was probably what's his name, comedian, Will Ferrell, and he's in the Oval Office, looking around, and he goes, "When are the adults coming back?" And I still feel that way. We get to, hey, when are the adults coming back? Until they do, we get to keep doing all this fun stuff.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's why I love the Tech Award. That's why I love Parnell Awards, Top 100 Dealer Awards. Again, people get dressed up. These are music store owners. You think they get any credit throughout the year? No, they're open a store in the morning. They work 7 days a week. To honor someone like that and to see them moved to tears, to have their family up there with them, generations sometimes. I don't know. An old friend of mine said, if that doesn't light your fire, your wood's all wet.
I know the move to tears part for sure.
Yeah.
Joe, I've got a question for you that's a little off topic. I'm sure you've already thought about this, and I'm asking this question without any knowledge whatsoever about what I'm speaking to. But it seems like one of the things that needs to come out of this pandemic and the fact that we're all going online is the importance of every retailer upping their game and getting an online presence. So if you look at somebody like Sweetwater, who Herb and I really admire and like, they're perfectly positioned for a pandemic. But you look at a mom and pop retailer, they struggle to have an online presence the size of, say, Walmart or Target, which saw this coming, and they have a great online presence. How are you addressing that for the mom and pop store? And then my second question, I'm gonna try and get them all in at one time, Joe. Man. And my second question is, how can we enhance the lowly plug-in when it needs to be shopped? It's not the same sexiness that you have with a new piece of analog gear, and the future's clearly going to be still populated by analog users, including myself. But the software, like you mentioned, in terms of the transition into a new music world, needs to be elevated too. So first question first, please. That was just for me.
Two really good questions. I mean, I probably lost count of the number of NAMM University courses for dealers over the last decade about migrating to at least a combination of brick and mortar and online, if not even creating a separate business for the online. It has been, the major agenda item in all retail, not just music retail. So what I would say is the pandemic speeded up the necessity of it, and it is no longer possible to not have both. It was, hey, you should think about this. Hey, you guys really ought to be fixing to do this. You guys, if you don't do this, look how good these other guys are doing with it. Now it's like, sorry, that train left the station. So I would say we've concluded the necessity to do both. Whether the pandemic, just think of all the things the pandemic has sped up. It's just accelerated, you name it, 10 years, 6 years worth of change in 6 months. That's what these times do. And whether it was a pandemic or an economic crisis, these cycles exist for a reason. They cause us, wax philosophically 1 second. In an afternoon, sunny afternoon, say we're in California on the beach, everything's going great. You think people sit around and go, I'm going to fix some big things today? Mm-hmm. No! No! When it's sunny, you're making money and everything's doing great, you just want to keep that show going. Let's keep doing more of that, No. When it hits the fan, that's when you fix big things. You fix your business model. You fix your systems and you become more efficient. You try new things like we're doing. You think I would have tried Believe in Music? The NAMM show couldn't have gotten any better in January. What do you think I was going to do in 21? More of that. So socially, we're fixing big things. Politically, we're going to get through some big things fixed. Globally, we're probably going to fix some big things. You know what? These times exist for a reason. They have humanity. The causes are different, but the trigger is important. We are going to fix big things because of this. And what comes out of it is generally, some of the coolest, growth in human activity in all measures. I know to have a drummer wax philosophically is dangerous, first of all, so tune out right away. But that's my thought. We're fixing things now because you have to. Mm-hmm. And that's one of them. There will be no longer people shop in any which way, and it's not even going to be an issue. The fact that someday they're going to look back on, in 2018 or 2019, NAMM had a course on moving your business online. They're going to look at that and go, are you kidding me? There was an era where people actually thought that was something to talk about, and it's just going to be such a foregone conclusion. Your next question on, where does the technology go? What happens to, I interviewed Marcus Ryle once, a great friend of NAMM, and at the time, I think he was at Line 6 when I interviewed him, but we were talking about the Alesis days. And, the ADAP that he was a big part of the invention of was huge, right? And it was really good for Alesis. Coming out with the first real true digital recorder was really a great thing for Alesis. But at the same time, he knew they needed to keep moving. He needed to keep changing. When Line 6 came out with, tremendous new products, he knew that because whatever they invented needed to go to something else. And he said, look, there's no one here that'd be more incented to keep the ADAT as the platform. But I knew that couldn't be the way. So I wanted to reinvent my own future. And so what gear ends up being used? What's the nostalgia for this, or the convenience of that, or the urgency of this? I don't know. You guys got to figure that one out. That's where drummers in over his head. But I do know that there's room for all of it, right? And I think that's the beauty of music. That, why do us drummers still argue over snare drums? Well, I like that 64 Ludwig Chrome. Well, other one likes this one made out of wood, made from a log that was found at the bottom of Lake Superior and made by DW into this, beautiful snare drum. Why do we still argue over snare drums? Because we can, and we love to. Late into the evening at the Hilton Bar at the NAMM show. Yeah, you'll be arguing about that forever. So, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question. Probably not. So,
no, next. Thank you so much. I really want to hear about that because it hurts you when you drive past your favorite mom and pop store, and I did this about 10 days ago, and they're gone. They're gone, out of business. I'm a big proponent on supporting the people that make the tools that we all use to create music, and without those tools, we ain't creating no music. And so we need to really support local mom and pops. We need to be cognizant of the fact that we can lose these people quite readily. So
they're vital. Think of what a community music store is vital in serving, especially music education. How many of us took our first lesson in a community music store, a mom and pop community music store? I know I did, and that was where we hung out. That was where you first learned about gear. They have a place, and thankfully they are evolving quickly. Again, they're smart people, right? They saw what was happening. They had the tools from NAMM University and great, examples. Chuck Surak at Sweetwater, there's no better. That guy will give you the shirt off his back. How'd you do that? Well, I did this. Chuck is the generous. He's on our foundation board. He's one of the most generous donors of the foundation, and yet he's built this unbelievably great business. I love Chuck. I can't, but he wants to share. He didn't do anything that anyone else couldn't have done. He just devoted his energy to it and did well. And thank God, in the pandemic, if that old hockey analogy, you skate to where the puck is going to be. Well, 40 years ago, he started skating. And guess what? He hit the puck. And a lot of members did that. I mean, we've got specialty stores, specialty guitar stores, vintage drum shops who also migrated online and are having a wonderful time at this during this. Obviously, everyone is experiencing. Here's what I'll say about the pandemic. Everyone is experiencing it. We're all dealing with it, in its entirety. But there are no two NAMM members who are experiencing it the same way.
Yeah. And along that line, one of the things that the nature of our business that you've been describing so eloquently is our business is constantly evolving. We're used to change. If you're in the music business, and with all the technology involved, you can't settle for a second. And also, we're used to collaborating at distance. Yeah. You know, we send files, we do things, we share, we communicate on text, we use our phones and continue to make our craft. So in some ways, as much as we're not geared for this, we are more geared than others for it. Well, and
you had an interesting point. We're progressive musicians. We should be absolutely on the nice cutting edge of all this. We're really not. A lot of us are not.
Oh, for sure.
Think of some major breakthroughs. And NAMM is lucky enough to have these great archives. I've got 120 years, and I'll sometimes go back in an afternoon and just start going through these magazines and archives and articles and files. When recorded music really started catching on, NAMM shows at the time were populated by record labels selling records because music stores sold all the records. There were no record stores then. There were no consumer electronics stores. Music stores sold records. Music stores sold refrigerators when they came onto the market. They sold washers and dryers when they came onto the market. And that's where you went to buy your TV. Up until the mid-'60s, music stores were all that. But my point is, when recorded music started really becoming mainstream, do you realize there was a movement of part of our industry to go to Congress to make it illegal to sell recorded music? Because some element said, well, who will ever hire a live musician again? And it's like, did you ever think you actually could have a recording career on top of that? But, so my point is, we're not always the most open to new technology and the new ways. And again, these cycles come to sometimes kick us into it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think we're pushed into it.
Yeah, no going back.
And if you resist that, then you're going to be left out. I was curious too, when you announced, because you guys just recently announced, what's been the reaction? Globally around the world, has it been?
I would like to say, I probably had 100 calls, texts, emails in the last couple of days. It was just announced of people around the world. And, overwhelmingly supportive. I mean, obviously inevitable. I don't think there were too many people that were surprised. We got a lot of, I think, credit for doing it early enough for people to make their marketing budgets, plans, and not, having to do travel plans. I mean, we cleared the deck. Business hates uncertainty. I think that's why we're all such in a tizzy right now with the election and the pandemic. Uncertainty is terrible for business.
Yes.
We thought, in this case, we can provide some certainty. But I also heard from, so many, just like, I emailed one of my dear friends in Germany today, and she put it perfectly. There's probably a language barrier there, but she said, I feel like someone's taken away my favorite toy. And I said, we all feel that way. And I shared with you a member in Beirut. We reached out because of the terrible explosion. And he shared that this year's NAMM show, a couple months ago in January, he was walking through the aisles with tears in his eyes of joy just to be there and to be around that energy and what he got out of it, to go back home and face what they were facing even prior to that terrible explosion. Conditions were terrible. So I think there were people who also expressed how much they're going to miss it. How much it's, they're not going to have that. So we kind of laughed together. We cried together. The city of Anaheim obviously was really impacted by this. So we really spent a lot of time with them to make sure that they know this is our home. And we'll see them all again very soon. I mean, don't forget, come February, we're planning 22. We will be on site in February up in Anaheim planning the next show. That's how it takes 11, 12 months to plan this thing. So for all those in Anaheim, we'll be right there. Stand by. We'll be right there. So, someone said, I want prorated discount on my membership. And I go, all right, that's fine. here's your $90 back. Anyway, there's always some of that, but no, it's good. I did get accused in my little video of channeling Tom Hanks in Mr. Rogers' movie, and I thought, I did not see that one. Did not see that one.
That is funny. Well, I got to tell you, Joe, as you know, you're such an astute business leader. Oftentimes, organizations reflect not only your team, but clearly leadership. And NAMM is just a behemoth that serves so many purposes that you guys take on all the time. And this adjustment that you've made to Believe in Music Week, which will not be NAMM, but will be a new thing, it's got the Joe Lamond thing on it. And your team, you know, we're close to your team. We love what you guys do. We love your support, and we love supporting you in all those efforts. You got to give a shout out to Steph and Swim.
You guys you have made, and those things that you do like that, you know, I've learned so much from you. I mean, when I remember visiting Pete Johnston, who's our main producer of all these great awards, he's worked here longer than I have. I've been here 23 years. I think he started a year younger than me. I visited him when he was home recovering from lymphoma, and we're watching you. And you gave a shout out to Pete when he's recovering. Think I'll ever forget that? Nope. You know, the types of things that you do are just incredible. So we've all learned, but you know, how do we still bring that community together and that platform together? It's going to be a real challenge for all of us, but we'll get through it. And the idea of, you know, this young group, we've got to get these young people in, and we've got to make them feel, you know, when I first went to NAMM, I was 22 years old, I think, 21 or 22. And it was huge. It was 2 halls. And I walked in going, oh my God. You know, so my goal had always been, how do we make everyone feel welcome there? How do you make, you know, the older people watching this will remember the show called Cheers Bar, right? It was this scene in Boston where literally you walked in and you knew everybody. Everyone knew your name. That was the theme song. Here's where everyone knows. That had been the goal for the NAMM show, where everyone knows your name and you walk in, you feel like you're home. And that's what the community you've created with Pensado's Place. You make everyone feel like, hey, Normie, you know, at the end of the bar, when you walk in, hey, you know, everyone's, you're home. And, you know, if we can create that together, what we do here, you know, that's the next generation coming up. This is your home, everybody. This is where you're going for the rest of your life, to see your friends, to advance your career, to learn new things, to do everything you want to do. And honestly, some of those things, you got to love this. You know that.
Yeah.
You don't love what you're doing here. These are the times where if you don't love it, you're not going to make it.
Absolutely. You know, we are, and thank you for the kind words, we're reflecting back what we get, and that people appreciate a holistic approach to the whole musician, the whole artist, audio at large. And it's not just rolling off 2K. It's literally, you know, we had an astronaut on, and I got off that after we had a great interview.
I've got to get her at the NAMM show.
Oh, I got her. We got her for you. And that's the point I was going to make. We are making it our purpose to make sure some of the younger generation, we see how responsible they are, how much they want to give back. And we're saying that we're going to get you involved with NAMM because your voices need to be heard and you're thinking next future things. And you know, but our joy is we got off that call and had, you know, a reach out from a superstar who I won't mention saying, hey, can I come back on? Like asking us if we could. We were like, are you kidding me? So, you know, when you're giving gifts, you give them back. And I think that is also the spirit of NAMM. It's the spirit of Believe in Music Week. As a reminder, this month is submissions for the Tech Awards. Go to techaward.org. And if our audience never understood why we are so passionate about NAMM and why we go and why we pay attention to their staff and they pay attention to us and we love up on each other and all that kind of stuff, you now know from watching this episode. You are remiss if you don't involve yourself in anything NAMM does. As I said, in their benefits of circle, that circle of benefits that they have, they give back to the community so that you can grow and we can continue to foster this gift we have. It is truly amazing, and hats off to you, bro.
Yep. Well, again, until a more suitable leader can be found,
we're stuck with you.
You're stuck with a drum.
We have been participating with NAMM now in any number of ways for about a decade. And we continue to do things together. Hopefully we've been able to be helpful in the NAMM endeavors. What's your take?
You know, when I first went to see the Pensado Awards up in LA, that's when I knew we had something, that we were birds of a feather, that we had an alignment on honoring the people who make all this happen. And in many ways, you were so far ahead of the curve with where we are now. You know, podcasting probably wasn't even a thing then, but you created this community. And so in many ways, we're just trying to do the same thing. How do we inspire? How do we, people leave these events, whether it's one of your broadcasts or a NAMM show, better equipped to survive and achieve and to thrive and achieve their goals. So no, I think we probably didn't know it, but we are brothers from different mothers from a long time.
Absolutely. It's a little hard for my tribe to blush, but other than that, we're right there with you. So good, man. And we're excited about getting involved in Believe in Music Week, and we are down for the count. We're going to make sure that we're involved and folks are involved. And some of this community that is younger or maybe not have attended NAMM or are on the cutting edge, they're going to get involved too through us. So we're happy to do it. Dave, why don't you take us home?
Well, it's pretty clear to me, Herb, that the future of our profession and the music that we love is in good hands with Joe. Even though his favorite song by Todd Rundgren is "I Don't Want to Work, I Want to Bang on the Drum All Day," he's still doing a great job, even as a drummer. And I want to encourage you guys to try and participate as much as you can in this. Today I went and signed up for ibelieveinmusic.com.tv, ibelieveinmusic.tv. And this will keep you up to date on all the things we've discussed today. And it's really important for you to be a part of this because these are unique times, like we've said over and over and over again. And I can't think of a better person to trust with these times than Joe Lamond. Joe, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next week.